Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to PWR Interactive, along with Matthew Thomas. I'm the man they call Meathead. And Matthew, we just got done with another live edition of TNA Impact. Boy, I am telling you, the difference between the Impact Zone and Bum F wherever is literally miles apart.
Night and day, and apparently it's a dry county too, according to the commentators, and it's still exponentially higher than the energy level in the Impact Zone. Another great live episode of TNA tonight.
I thought it was fantastic. We didn't get a lot of wrestling, but we got a lot of wrestling. There was 3 matches in a 2-hour program, but they were all given time. The shortest of the 3 matches, I really think, might have been our main event. We had a match for the #1 contendership for the tag team championships between Chavo and Hernandez taking on Bad Influence. Also had a match with the Aces and Eights, Wes Briscoe and Bish. If you were looking close enough to his leather jacket, he's the Bish now. He acts more like a Bish any day of the week as they took on, it was a 6-man tag along with Doc as well, taking on the team of Kurt Angle, James Storm, and who was the third?
I believe we had
EY. EY. How could I have forgotten that epic beard? And then, again, our main event, which was Jeff Hardy and Mr. Ken Anderson. And, boy, he was all worked up. Boy, I tell you what. So, Matthew, before we really kind of get into it, on a whole, what did you think of Impact tonight?
I enjoyed the show tonight, and I enjoyed also the big thing that stuck out to me. How many times did we hear Corpus Christi referenced? The building to a show that's not a pay-per-view. When was the last time in this era of professional wrestling that you heard such a build to a show a couple of weeks away that's another episode of your weekly episodic television series that's not a pay-per-view? So it seems like there's this energy there where they're getting people excited for an event, a televised event that's going to take place in another city that's not necessarily your standard monthly pay-per-view quota. So I'm really liking the fact that they are making a big deal out of an Impact that's a couple of weeks away in a city that's not a pay-per-view, that they're doing. I really like that aspect of it, and I like that they're actually building these Impacts to have a significance and an importance.
It's a great idea, great for the company, great for the overall product. The only thing is that if I were a fan that was in, again, the middle of nowhere, wherever that was, I'd be upset that you keep talking about this show that's going to happen later. What about me sitting in the seats right now? That'd be what I was a little bit more concerned about. So that's nice to know that that's there, and I love the way they're building that. But if I were a fan of TNA and I was sitting in that building, I'd feel a little gypped because they keep promoting this show that's not tonight. They're not even talking about what's going to happen next week, except for what's going to happen in Corpus Christi. So if you're in Alabama, you're out of luck. Corpus Christi is where we're going to be.
Although you technically would get that if they were doing the typical monthly pay-per-view structure, that would be the pay-per-view that they were building to. So, regardless, you'd have something that they were actually looking past what they're doing that very night.
I do love, again, the enthusiasm. Boy, TNA seemed like they were bragging a little bit today with their camera work. Did you see how many nice big arena shots we got tonight? They were showing it off. Now, I think they were in the perfect size building. Again, TV gives you a very distorted perspective of, how big a building really is. They were in the perfect building. That might have been a 5,000-seat building, maybe 6,000. And to be honest, we're never going to see the hard camera side, but it looked packed to me.
But you've got that extensive lower level that they had tonight that looked like it had some depth to it and looked like it was steep and went up there, and that makes all the difference in the world comparing that versus, your few rows in the Impact Zone with the same people that you see week after week. I mean, it really added, like you said, it added some depth to it. It added some perspective that, this is a big-time look to this TV show.
Yeah, and again, like I said, we're going to run down the 3 matches that happened, plus all the happenings during the program. But, we only got a handful of people that were on the show, so I'm wondering if they're going to continue this pattern of alternating weeks with different people showing up. So this week we got, say, Chavo and Hernandez taking on Bad Influence. Next week, are we going to see the tag team champions? Are we going to see Aries and Bobby Roode? Next week, are we going to see, maybe a knockouts match instead of, the legend knockout match that we got this week? So I wonder if they're going to do this alternating. It does throw me off a little bit, though, because once you get that pattern, you expect that pattern. So I need to be kept at the edge of my seat, and I need to be swerved a little bit. I need to be surprised. So, kind of like Bobby Roode coming out every week to open up a show to cut a heel promo as a champ, I need a little bit of, mixture.
And is that a side effect, and is that a result of doing taping the show after this, so they don't burn the actual audience out there out, and they actually give the audience
absolutely, absolutely. That's they don't burn the talent out, and they don't burn out the audience. So the audience gets to see. Now, again, speaking from somebody that was sitting in Chicago, I knew, because this is what we do, that there was going to be 2 TV tapings. But the regular fan, did they know? Was it advertised? When you were buying that ticket, were you told you're getting? Because on my ticket, it didn't say, hey, there's 2 TV tapings here. So, what about the people that may have left after the first, weeks that are walking out the door right now saying, hey, is there another match going on? Oh, we should go back to our seats. What about those people? Are they getting more wrestling, this time, because there's going to be more videotape stuff that's going to go on later? I don't know. I think it's an after effect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's going to be interesting to see how the shows do look week to week after they, when they run 2 TV shows like this, when they run 2 tapes like that. It's going to be interesting how that comes across actually to the TV audience, as well as, what they're trying to cater to the actual audience that's there in the arena.
Well, like we said, we're going to talk about the show a little bit here, and the show starts off with your very usual and very standard issue, which is also copied now by the WWE, previously on Impact. But the recap starts showing Bully Ray obviously revealing himself, and I like, this is something that's been going on for a good 7-8 years, and I think it really started with 24, the TV show. Matthew, did you watch?
I watched the first season, I believe.
You only watched the first season? You didn't watch any of the others?
I kind of lost interest after that.
Really?
Yeah, 24 hours, it expired, It's all 24 episodes. And
but the next year was a new 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Whatever.
But after 24 it was done, It's 24 hours in a day.
But I think they started with that show, and other shows do this now when they do previously. Walking Dead does it. I mean, The Prison Break did it. Terminator did it. All these other TV shows do this. Previously.
You did notice that guy never went to the bathroom, though, right?
Well, when the other people are on screen, he's probably pissing. That's what he was doing. Okay. I mean, he pissed himself every time he was, shot at. Maybe that's what really took care of it.
Because I can only suspend my belief, to such a level when a guy goes...
I don't like you right now. Do you know that? Just kidding. So, but anyways, going back to that, it kind of started off with that show where they gave you a previously. It wasn't necessarily what happened on that last week. That what they wanted you to see was going to lead to what was going to be going on in that episode. So the Bully Ray reveal was, 3 weeks ago now? I mean, at least 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So, but that was what led off again tonight. And then sometimes they even go back a year. Sometimes they go back, 6 months. So all of that stuff is really well done. I don't like to just tell me what happened last week and then go back into this week. I like the way they're doing it now. What about you, Matthew?
And it gives it some depth. It gives it some perspective. It makes it seem like they actually put some work into building it outside of just what they did last week. Okay, we're going to throw this together this week and lead into this week. When you go back a ways and see how it's been built up, it looks good on the company because they've actually put some work in there and they've put some effort into a little bit of a slow burn that they kind of know what they're doing because all of this has led to where we're at right now.
It makes sense is what it does. It actually makes sense. Hardy's out there talking about, it's open fight night, and I got somebody who want to challenge, and obviously Bully Ray comes out to cut him off, and wonk, 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 wonk. Well, feelings get hurt. Friendships are crushed. And Jeff Hardy and Mr. Anderson kind of get at it, and that's it. Jeff Hardy calls out Mr. Anderson, and that's going to be our main event. So love the fact that aces and eights are still coming in from the side. However, these buildings that they're working, I don't like that they got to move a rail. I mean, it feels so 1991. You got to move a rail. You got to, slide people to the side. The security line that they're walking is only maybe 2 bodies wide. I don't like it.
It takes away a little bit of the authenticity of the badness of the biker gang when you got to be escorted in by security and, accommodations have to be made in order to get you there. It just takes away a little bit of the authenticity there. Speaking
of biker gang, and I've been meaning to ask this, do you think they really are a biker gang, or do they just have bikes?
That's a very interesting point. Maybe we'll get that in the Behind the Aces and Eights documentary that we'll hopefully get down the line.
Yeah, that DVD that'll come out and be #1 on Sports and Entertainment, the one that the other company seems to hold. But so we set the main event, and we've got Hardy versus Anderson. Footage from last week's Tag Team Championship match that was interrupted by bad flu kind of sets us up to go into the match that we're going to have next, which Hogan also makes a #1 contenders match between Chavo Hernandez and Bad Influence. Thank you. Chavo Hernandez and Bad Influence. So I love the little walk-up they had. Hernandez and Chavo literally talking to us as they're walking to the ring. Again, it's not something we haven't seen before, but it was nice to actually see that happening.
Absolutely. And I like the fact, too, that we had – anytime you have a match, a tag team match that doesn't necessarily involve the tag team champions, it makes it seem like there's some depth in that division. And to actually have a match tonight, too, for the #1 contendership, it makes it feel like, there's actually some depth in the tag team division, and you're not just seeing the tag team champions up against whoever the contender of the week is. So it felt like tonight we actually had, and it's really, when I say tag team division, we've got 3 tag teams that I can think of off the top of my head, and that includes tag team champions. But, it does make it feel like there's a little bit of substance there when you've got 2 tag teams on the screen putting on a good match that it's not involving your tag team champions.
A great long and sustained match as well. So many shenanigan-filled false finishes. Feet on the ropes. Holding down the feet. I mean, again, and Chavo and Hernandez flying in together. Granted, I told you I'm not a fan of that ramp the way it is, but it leads to things like this. So
they've been utilizing that the last couple of weeks. We saw it in that match. We saw it in the last match as well. They're actually starting to, that's starting to come into play sometimes, and we're seeing things on the ramp that I haven't necessarily seen before. So I do give them credit for not just working the other side and actually including that ramp in some spots. We seem to, have seen that several times. So, and the more I see of Chavo and Hernandez, the more I like them. These guys seem to be meshing pretty well as a tag team.
I think so too. The way they design things, though, I don't like the fans. I mean, it's great for the fans to be that up close to the ring, but I think the reason they're using that ramp more is there's not a lot of room to work around the outside. You aren't going to do any spots going towards. And again, I don't mean to compare the WWE to TNA, but if you think about it, where the ring ends on the announcer side, how much room is really over there? In a WWE ring, it's huge. Right. Or in an arena, it's huge. You have the chance to do all these flying different spots. They even have enough of a girth over on the sides to still do these spots. In TNA, a little bit different, a little bit more compressed. So a lot of times you see these guys rolling up, and again, this is just metal rails. Guys, these are just hooked together with a couple of pieces of aluminum. So they're flexible, they're bendable, and I'm a little nervous sometimes when I see these things happening. So, yeah, I guess the spots have to be on the ramp. So,
and on the subject of that announce table too, I just want to point out real quick, Meathead, how much of a breath of fresh air is it to actually see a hyped up crowd behind those shots of the announce table, as opposed to just the standard Impact Zone backdrop? To actually see the crowd that's livid, that's looking forward to being on TV, that's excited. I think those shots that we see of the announce team are some of the better shots of the night that really capture the excitement of that crowd.
They had multiple shots of that tonight, too. I think they went to him 3-4 times tonight. I was a little disturbed because I don't think he meant it that way when Todd Kennelly recapped Taryn and Gail Kim going at it. But, Matthew, do you know the line I'm talking about?
I may have missed it. You'll have to let us know, Meathead.
When they came back, boy, the fur is flying around in a backstage area. Todd! Now, I get that, but there's kids watching this show.
It's a family run. It's a family television show.
Come on, it's 2013. There's no fur back there. So there was a little bit of a scrap. It was supposed to be Taryn's first ever match in the TNA ring as a knockout. She calls out Gail Kim, but Gail says she's got issues with somebody else as well, and here comes Tara. So there's a beatdown. Obviously, Velvet Sky comes out for the save. We're going to see a tag match between these two coming up next, most likely. It's funny that TNA, as we're talking about, you talk about a weak tag team division, which is really 3 teams. It's a weak knockout division as well. Having Taryn in there is a nice addition to it, a nice little breath of fresh air. But TNA really is only using a small portion of their roster, and it's working. I mean, I haven't gotten sick of who's on TV yet.
Yeah, they're doing a good job, sprinkling them around and not making it seem old like you're getting the same match week after week. It's not like we're getting necessarily Wade Barrett versus Del Rio or something like that we see repetitively.
You mean twice a week? Yeah.
Yeah, or Kofi versus Dolph that we've seen 100,000 times.
Right.
They seem to do a good job of not making you feel like, oh, it's this match again.
Right, to the point where you're not going to watch match because nothing's going to happen that you haven't seen already. So is it different because it's TNA and we're just not used to their flow yet? Or is it different because they're making a concerted effort to actually mix it up? I think it's a little bit of both, and I'm not going to complain. I actually do enjoy it. The other thing I wanted to touch on was it me or was there some serious fire inside of Sting today? I mean, Sting, obviously, and Hogan, too. He was yelling at him. He was like a grumpy old man. I swore he was going to tell him to get off his lawn because that's what it sounded like.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the end game is with Sting and Hogan and exactly where they're going to, but for right now, I'm interested. I'm captivated. They both, I thought, did a real good job of drawing you in and making you interested in this heat between these two guys. So, yeah, the last couple of weeks, it's been interesting to see, kind of trying to figure out where they're going with these two guys. And tonight, I thought it really reached its pinnacle or its apex right there in the middle of the ring with that promo between those two.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And get the hell out of my damn ring. I did like the tiny little interaction at the end with Matt Morgan going another mistake by Hulk Hogan. And again, the facial hair.
Yeah.
I am loving the beard of Matt Morgan. Just dyed a little funny. Let your grays show, brother. There's nothing wrong with letting your grays show.
Some prominent facial hair there, no question.
Matthew, when are you growing yours out?
I've been considering it. I'm going to try to coincide it with my heel turn because, as we talked about before, facial hair signifies heel. So I can't just come right out and turn heel. I have to, it's going to be when you least expect it. So.
Well, that's true almost all the time because remember back in the days when South Park had Spooky Vision in each one of the corners there, and all the spooky South Park presidents had goatees. Just like when Scott Steiner turned heel and joined the NWO. That's when he dyed his goatee. Again, facial hair is supposed to be a heel. I'm not a heel, and EY's not a heel.
Now, would just a mustache, would that signify tweener, maybe? If I do just
I don't know. But speaking of mustaches, I was tweeted a little bit earlier. Again, for some reason, Twitter for me on the laptop was not working tonight. I have no idea why. And I got an error message from Twitter themselves. The mullet mustache combination from our lead security guy today.
Yeah.
Righteous.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be a pretty tough guy to rock that combo, and I think he pulled it off.
Well, yeah, he was probably a tough guy back in the 80s, and it's still working for him now, so we'll just let it go. But happy to see that's going. And finally, I do want to also touch on, again, the main event. They led up to it with the clubhouse, which isn't the clubhouse. It looks like they're in the bowels. I'm waiting for Mankind to show up. I'm waiting for Undertaker to be sitting behind him, light a wall red or blue. Well, they got to come up with something else.
They threw it all off by taking it on the road. I mean, Aces and Eights, they're in the Orlando area. They had a nice little clubhouse that they had. They probably had a mortgage on it. They probably weren't renting their clubhouse anymore. They probably, taking.
So they're in between.
Yeah,
they're in between.
So, and then TNA just blows the whole thing up by taking the show on the road. So you do what you can. I really feel sorry for those guys just being uprooted like that.
All right. Well, next week we're going to have a lot more great matches on TNA Impact. Hopefully they don't interrupt my viewing with all this great Marquette basketball. How about those Marquette Golden Eagles defeating the number 2 seed Miami Hurricanes? I hate the people from the U, and it takes a lot of people to hate. I apologize if you're a fan of the U, but I love shutting you up. So Marquette moving on to the Elite Eight and a chance to go to the Final Four. And I love when people also interact with us, Matthew. And if you want to interact, not you, Matthew, because you're already interacting with me, but if you want to interact with us on the show here, make sure you're getting on over to pwrshow.com. Send us an email. If you got a Google Plus account and you got a webcam, you may be able to jump online. Now, Matthew, I know that we're supposed to have somebody lined up tonight. Is he ready to go?
I believe so. Let's see if we can bring him up here. Justin, you there with us?
Hey, there we go. We got volume for Justin? Unmuted? Uh-oh.
Hey, Justin, can you hear us? Hey, Justin, can you hear us?
Well, he's acknowledging, but I don't think his microphone's working for us. We'll continue to have Justin in front of us here, and Justin will work out his technical issues. Again, I apologize for this last Monday as well. Boy, you know, Adobe, when it wants to update Flash, Matthew, it just updates when it wants to, and, you know, it is what it is. I was able to. I blame David Hero, to be honest with you. I think he was trying to hold the man down. Kept calling me Zeb Coulter for some reason. Do I look like Zeb Coulter to you? Do you see me?
If you give it just the right swirl there, I think you might can.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm not giving anything a swirl anywhere. I don't know what kind of show you've been to, Matthew, but I'm not doing that. So, how are we doing with our interactive?
Let's see. Can you hear us, Justin?
Oh, we can see you.
All right.
All right. Well, we're gonna let Justin work out whatever audio issues he's got going on there, and again, I want to talk about this X Division pay-per-view that seems to be coming up too. And they also announced, Matthew, a bunch of new rules for the X Division. Every match apparently now will be a three-way match, and Kenny King, the champion, apparently if he gets pinned in the match, he's out.
Yeah, it's a good way to I mean, those three-way X Division matches, the classics that we have seen over the years. I mean, it's a great way to get, you know, multiple guys in there and to really get that X Division action there. So I really am looking forward to the new stipulations, and can't wait to see it.
And the new stipulations, remember, X Division at one point had no limits, no rules. They are back to limits. I believe it was 230 pounds.
I believe you're correct.
What if you're a British wrestler?
Does that translate to stone? Is that?
It's stone or the metric system, or I don't know how it works. All our friends over across the pond in the UK are going to have to help us out with that. Let us know what that translates to. If you're 230 pounds, I mean, I've got my Google Translate when it comes to language, but I don't think I have my weights and measures actually set up yet. It's not an app that I have, so would love to see that figured out, because what if you're Douglas Williams? I don't think he's 230 pounds, but then again, you could work the shenanigans on the weights and measures.
You know, what would be great is if that was the angle they ran with, if they never thought of the translation to the metric system. So you've got, you know, 400 and 500 pound guys from England coming in and competing in the X Division, because it's a loophole, you see.
Fair enough. Again, you know, sometimes, Matthew, I think we need to be on the booking committee, or TNA, Dixie, I know you're listening. You heard what we just did. Hi. Hello. Remember me? We met a couple weeks. Hi. So I would love to see that happen. Matthew, let's give Justin another shot here. Let me know if he's up and ready to go.
See, there he is. And can you hear us, Justin? All right, let's try this. Can you hear us now, Justin? Or can we hear you?
I can't hear him, but I know he can hear us.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I'll have to try you again next week there, Justin.
Yeah, we'll give it another shot here. Matthew, let's wrap this baby up here. Folks, it's not this weekend, but it is next weekend. Matthew, I know you're not going. I know I'm not going, but there's going to be a lot of the PWR show talent, and I'm hoping, because I know he was scheduled to go, our friend, your friend, my friend, the man who's going to share cannoli with me, a calzone, it's Cosentino with the calzones. Again, we want to wish our best wishes. Sorry, Frank. We want to give our best wishes to Frank, who's recovering from 5. We know that Frank is up and tweeting, so Frank is around. He's coherent. Everything's gone great. Again, I hope that he's able to make the trip. I don't know if he's making it or not, but folks, if you haven't yet and you're going to be in the New York area, make sure you're getting your Hall of Fame tickets for the PWR Hall of Fame. Axe, Smash, Demolition, King Kong Bundy, the only Hall of Fame that he's ever in, is going to be the PWR Hall of Fame. Make sure you're getting down there April 5th, also April 6th for the Shenanigans Party. There is literally like 25 wrestling superstars that are going to be available at this party. At this party. I'm all excited. I'm drunk. At this party also, there's going to be a great band performing as well. It's right across the street from Madison Square Garden, and again, WrestleMania, April 7th. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I know that PWR had some limited seats available. You want to check on over to pwrshow.com or message at David Hero. He's the one that's running the gig, running the tickets, running the show. Make sure you get involved, Matthew. I believe, and I haven't confirmed this with the interns yet, but I believe you and I will be anchoring the post-show WrestleMania Sunday. Now, I will try my best. I don't know if you remember last year's post-show. As much as I love Karma, boy, did it get loud and rowdy in there. We will try to use a new building this year.
It's WrestleMania, though, so it's going to get loud and rowdy.
It was WrestleMania, and everybody was excited after Rock had beat John Cena. So, folks, again, make sure it's Hall of Fame April 5th, Shenanigans April 6th, WrestleMania April 7th. They're going to be in the PWR suite at the, what are they calling, the MetLife Stadium now? I think that's what it's called. They better hope the weather stays the way it's been the last couple days, because to be honest, it just snowed like last week.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I don't know, somebody like Brock Lesnar coming out in tights while it's snowing?
It'd be a WrestleMania to remember, no question.
Wow. So, Matthew, anything else you want to say before we wrap this one up?
Just still continuing to enjoy the live impacts, the crowds, continue to add that extra element there. And another, I thought, very solid show tonight that's actually got me looking forward to the upcoming weeks of Impact.
Me too. And again, I'm real excited about the X Division, not the pay-per-view so much because we know it's been taped already, but the way they're retweaking and relaunching the X Division itself. So we just talked about a tag team division that doesn't really exist. We talked about a knockout division that doesn't really exist. We are putting a reboot on the X Division. Does that mean we're going to get Chris Sabin back? Is he healthy enough to return? What about Jesse Sorensen? He's been a guy that's been hard down for about a year, and they say he's on his way back. So all guys that are ready to go. And I think TNA has got a lot of promise coming up in the year 2013 as well as going forward. Plus, we didn't even get to touch on AJ Styles. AJ Styles just sitting in the crowd quietly. It looked like he got a haircut, though. He looked a little cleaner today.
Little more clean shaven, but I really do like the fact too that it looks like they're going in an angle with him and James Storm, and it seems like it has been forever and a day since we've had James Storm in an actual substantive angle here, and so that I'm really looking forward to that. I think it would be very good for both guys and be some solid wrestling, and if they do it right, if they continue to go in this direction, you've also got that added story element there too. So really looking forward to see where this leads.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call me Dead. Thank you again for joining us tonight on PWR Interactive. Again, if you want to interact on the show, pwrshow.com. Send us an email. Make sure you have a Google Plus account and a webcam. And just like Justin, who we're going to get back on, folks, just like Justin, you can interact with us. So, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.